this is going to be the video for you. This is going to be the video to show you exactly what to do in 2023 to have success. If you are completely new, if anybody wants to go out here and start flipping paper on real estate, right? Start flipping contracts and start just making money. This is it, right? Like, this is what we talk about. We talk about flipping paper. We get a property under contract, we sell it to a cash buyer, we make 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand, 40 grand. That is what this business is all about. So many people complicate it. If you go out here and find somebody that needs to sell their property for cash, you get it under contract for the lowest price possible, you find a rich landlord or house flipper who wants to buy it for a profit, boom, you'll make 10 grand. You'll make 20 grand. Heck, we've made over $100,000 on a deal. But the thing is, so many people complicate this. The honest truth in this business, if you can find people that want to sell their property due to a circumstance, they will sell it and you'll make a ton of money on the deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's honestly, we are so guilty of making this business so complicated. The reality is wholesaling is actually very simple. It's we humans that screw it up. So today's all about just simplifying it and giving you the grassroots efforts to get started in wholesaling without the complication.
That's it. So guys, if you're excited to go out here and learn how to wholesale real estate, if you got questions, love to answer them. Guys, do us a favor. Make sure you go out here and smash that like button. All right, go out here, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and always complimentary questions, and I'll help you become the best wholesaler you possibly can be. So without further ado, you guys, we got to do the intro. We got to get you jacked up, ready to go, excited for wholesaling real estate. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and get the guy go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
How does that not get you excited to go out here and wholesale houses? I'm excited. I'm ready to go. And let's just get into this. So without further ado, if I'm a beginner in wholesaling real estate in 2023, how do I do this? Right. You know, everyone goes to Barnes and Noble, back in the day, they get the Whatever for Dummies book, right? They get the computer coding for dummies. They get how to work an iPad for dummies. They get the, how to fix a car for dummies. Like, this is wholesaling houses for dummies, right? And so that is the point of today. That's what we're doing. And that's what we're breaking it all down. So guys, remember, we are here to teach you wholesaling real estate. And the first thing you need to understand that everything we do talk about wholesaling, we do have the #1 course in the country. I will say this from the beginning. Okay. I'm not going to say too much in this video because you guys hear me say it a bunch, but freewholesaling.com is our free wholesaling course. We have over 100,000 active students in that course. It costs no money at all.
Amazing.
It's free. I'm not here to go charge you a $50,000 coaching program. No sales guy is going to call you from that. It's just a free thing to help you make your first $100,000 in wholesaling. It'll help you make more, but the point of that is if you have not made $100,000 in wholesaling real estate, that course is going to help you out. I could easily sell this course. I would say probably about $3 grand is probably what I could sell it for. And people will happily pay $3 grand for that course. There's not one course on the internet for wholesaling real estate that's better. We have over 100,000 people. It speaks volumes. So the thing you need to understand here before we break it down is, first of all, go to freewholesaling.com. But when you go to freewholesaling.com, you're going to see this. And this is something I think everyone needs to understand. Why should you listen from us? I think that's the first thing we need to talk. Why should you listen to these two people, right? You're probably watching this. You may be a little newer. Like, who's Rick Ginn? Who's Zach Ginn? Who's Flip with Rick? Who's all these crazy people? What's going on, right? So let me just say it really quick. My name's Zach Ginn. This is Rick Ginn. I'll give you a quick, you go to freewholesaling.com, you hear what we got to say. But basically, we make millions of dollars every single year wholesaling real estate. But that shouldn't wow you at all, right? Like, that's, anyone can say they make millions of dollars, right? Here's the thing. We teach people to make millions of dollars. And that's the thing. So if you go here, you can see this. Guys, these are just a fraction of the people we've helped. But if you just go to freewholesaling.com, you'll see the testimonials. Like you'll see nobody else produces the amount of checks, the amount of success, and the amount of cash that we do. I'm just showing everybody here. There's not one person that produces more results for people than us. Not one person, okay? Not one. All right, I guess I could scroll forever on this, but you guys kind of get the point. Why should you listen to us? Not only have we made millions of dollars, we've helped everyone make millions of dollars wholesaling. There's not one person that's produced more money for their students in wholesaling than us, and we don't charge for it. And so that is the point. So let's get into it, right?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about so the wholesaling process for a beginner. If you are brand new in real estate, you want to understand what wholesaling is, what the process is, and how this crazy method works and what it all entails and everything. Let me break it all down. So the first thing you got to understand is wholesaling is really a 4-step process. And I know we're going to go over it very, very simply, but that's the way I think you guys need to understand it. So it goes like this. Number 1, find a motivated seller. That is what we have to do. Find somebody that wants to sell their property for cash. That is it. It's called a motivated seller because they want to sell it with a motivation. Step 2, we get the property under contract. We want to sign it for the lowest price possible. That's it. We just sign a contract. Number 3, we sell that contract to a cash buyer for a finder's fee. We also call this an assignment fee. That's it. We sell we get a contract signed, then we sell the contract. Then lastly, we close with the title, and then we get our check. We get that finder's fee check, that assignment check, whatever you want to call it. But that's it. We find somebody who wants to sell their house. We sign an agreement. Then we sell that agreement. That is it. We don't own the property. We are just flipping the paper on the piece of real estate. This is why you can go out here in your first, 2 weeks and get a property under contract. And within a month of you starting this, literally 30 days from you watching this video, you can get a $30,000, $40,000 check. I mean, if you go to freewholesaling.com, you see we got a guy, Benji, 50 grand on a probate deal.
Amazing.
Insane. We got Jason made $72,500 on a probate deal. I think that was the second deal though. But I'm telling you, like, this isn't like a fluke. Like it happens all the time. And if you see us, we help so many people out. And so that's basically it. So what is step 1 in getting into wholesaling? This is the last time I'm going to talk about this. I swear, but I'm doing it to drill in your brain. I'm drilling this into your brain. Step 1, you want to get started in wholesaling real estate. Go to freewholesaling.com, right?
Yeah, it's not complicated.
It's not complicated. Go to freewholesaling.com. It will not be easy. You cannot go through, I'll tell everyone, you cannot go through freewholesaling.com in one day. I hate to say it. It'll probably take you, I would say, a couple weeks to a week if you're going nuts on it, but 2 weeks. It's like watching all of Seinfeld or Friends in a week. That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But it's a lot of info. It'll help you out, give you the whole curriculum, and then we have a 30-day wholesaling challenge in there. And so everyone knows freewholesaling.com, so we'll get that out of the way. So let's talk about what it is. Now, what we're going to talk about today is a very, very shortened, condensed version of freewholesaling.com. This is like not even close to anything it has, but we're just going to brush over the stuff you're going to learn in freewholesaling.com because that's all we can qualify to talk to you about, because this is the method in 2023 that gets people hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year. So let's talk about the first one, finding the right market. In wholesaling real estate, you got to figure out, especially as a beginner, are you in the right market? Should you do local wholesaling, virtual wholesaling, all these things, right? And like, how do you find the right market?
Yeah, I mean, well, number 1, you should know right away if you're in one of the major markets that are super expensive. Look at the average price point, and honestly, if it's above 400,000, you should consider doing virtual marketing. Because why? Because if you're starting at like $1 million homes, you're going to have a sophistication level of sellers, and it's going to be very problematic for you. So in the event of computers and technology and the internet, you have the ability to go virtual. We teach you how to do it over at freewholesaling.com. Why? Because we want you to be successful, and try to buy multi-million-dollar properties with no money and sell the contract is a steep learning curve, and you're probably going to fail if you start out doing that way. So figure out which market you want to start in. Look at the average price points to get started.
That's it. And so find the population and find the average price point in your market. And so what I like to do, go to your county and just search, let's say you're Houston, Harris County median home price. It'll pop up pretty quickly from there. On top of that, you can find what the population is. This is a really rough number, but this is true. If your median home price is below 400,000 and your population for the county is above 50 to 100, usually that's a good wholesaling market. So if you're looking to get into virtual wholesaling, those are great markets. If you're in a market like LA, Los Angeles, that is just whoa. It's like the average price is 900. That's above the 400. That's not a good market. And maybe your average home price is 70K, but your population's like 1,000. That's not a good wholesale market. The point is you want population to be pretty high, because the higher the population, the more cash buyers, the more customers, more or less, are going to buy your contracts. And then the more deals and properties out there. And then the price is too high, you can't get really good contracts. Usually when the property is above $500,000, it's a lot harder to get a deep discount. It's very difficult to do that, right? It's hard to get a 40% discount on a Maserati or a Lamborghini than it is to get a 40% discount on like a beat up Toyota Camry, right?
Yep.
Just the price is lower. It's a $15,000 car. I can probably negotiate, get it for $8,000. If somebody's got a $500,000 Lambo, it's going to be very difficult for them to sell it for $250,000.
Yep.
It's just the law of large numbers. Human beings are weird, but that's how it works, right? So the next part is finding the right title company or closing attorney, right? So I don't want to get the whole thing because, freehousing.com has it. I know I promise not to say that word a lot, but it's all there. You have to figure out in your market, every state is actually differently how they close real estate. And I have to go teach you guys how to wholesale in all 50 states, which is crazy. But there are certain states that use title companies, which have attorneys in them. And there's some states where the attorney does pretty much all the work for it. And I know I'm brushing over it very, very vaguely, but that's really how it works. So either you got to find a title company or a closing attorney. Sometimes you can use a closing attorney, like in Florida. You can actually use a closing attorney to do it, or a title company.
Yeah.
But there's usually a lawyer there. So usually there's always going to be a lawyer, because wholesaling is not a scam. Wholesaling is actually completely legal. So you have to use lawyers. Everyone calls wholesaling real estate a scam, but nobody realizes to close a deal, you're going to have to use a lawyer. So how is that a scam? It's the funniest thing ever. But either figure it out by searching on the internet. Do I have a closing attorney state or a title company state? Usually by just search real estate title city and just call around, you'll get that information. And that's how you find it. And so my best way to find wholesaling friendly title companies is by two methods. Either number one, call every single title company in your city and ask, do you guys do wholesaling real estate transactions or assignment of contracts? Do you also do double closings, right? Wholesaling.com will give you the questions to ask. It's literally a script. Or a personal favorite, you just go on Facebook, go to a Facebook group for real estate investors in the city. So I don't know, Jacksonville Real Estate Investor Group from Facebook. Just ask people, hey, what title company you guys use? And they usually give it to you, right? And that's how I find it.
I mean, the key question is, are you okay working with assignment contracts? It's a simple yes or no. And if they give you a defensive answer, move on. They're focused towards realtors. They're usually biased against wholesalers. And honestly, that's the one qualifying question. Don't ask them if they're investor friendly, because it's a weird question to ask. So just ask the direct question. Do you do assignment of contracts? And if they give you a long-winded answer, move on to the next one.
They're all going to be investor friendly because they just want your money. But are they wholesaling friendly? That's the real question to ask. So the part we got to focus on, right? And I will tell anybody in wholesaling starting out, this is probably the hardest part. Okay. This is going to be the most difficult part in wholesaling, but it's finding somebody who actually wants to sell their house for a deep discount, right? And that's it. So when we find somebody who wants to sell the property, let's say we're going to try to go find from a list or something. The key criteria is we need to find somebody that needs to sell, not wants to sell the property, needs to sell the property, and they need to do it for a discount. The key here is one thing of every great wholesaling real estate deal: motivation, right? It's key.
Yeah, that key distinction between want and need, it's everything. So you guys got to learn to use your ears a lot sharper, because vocabulary has a lot of meaning in wholesaling. And if you pay attention and let your seller give you the clues, they'll typically tell you pretty quickly if there's motivation or not.
What are the top clues you have found when you're talking to a seller, like, hey, is this going to be a good deal or not a good deal?
A defensive seller means they don't trust you, or they don't want to they don't need to sell their house. So like simple questions like asking, how much do you owe on your mortgage? That's none of your business. It's not a good sign. Remember, motivated sellers are looking for help to solve their problem. What most wholesalers try to do is you try to put retail people into a motivated seller box, and that's where all your frustration comes from. You have to identify motivation. The best way is to target the right list and only work with people that need to sell their house, because you can spend 4 hours with someone who wants to sell their house. You are not going to get the discount it requires, and you're going to drive yourself nuts.
I completely agree. Motivation here, guys, is going to be so important. No motivation, no,
No
deal.
deal.
Simple as that. The guy wants to sell, but he said something like, "Give me your highest bid,"
Yeah.
or I always tell, this is shocking. People get shocked when I say this, but when I talk to a motivated seller, I literally ask them this question, point blank. I don't even want this deal. List it with a realtor. Like if you want the most for this property, list it with a realtor. I don't want to deal with it. If you want the most for it, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
And I just, you just ask them, like, list this with a realtor if you want it. And the reason why you kind of push back is because they need to give you a reason why they're not listing with a realtor. If they can't give you a good reason why they don't want the most for it, that's not a good deal. They have to give you a reason. And you know what that reason is? The motivation. I just want to get rid of this thing for cash. Like, I would love to use a realtor, but I don't want to bring them through the property. I just want to get rid of this thing. This thing needs a lot of work, all this stuff. Oh, well, okay. Well, maybe we can buy this thing for cash, right?
Yeah.
That's the point. People are so scared because they're so fearful that if the seller says, that's a good idea, I never thought about listing with a realtor. The realtor's the first thing they think about. Okay, don't act like it's this big secret that you could use a realtor and get more money. Let them know. Actually, this is shocking, but like, actually care about your seller and actually like, hey, if you want the most for it, go with a realtor. I'll tell you, this is bad, but like, I've had so many deals where I just said that and they're like, yeah, I think I will go with a realtor. Yeah. Okay, here's a number for a realtor. It's not the end of the world. If they want to go with a realtor, I don't want to deal with them.
Yeah. Plus, you save yourself a lot of time and aggravation, and you move on to people that will have more motivation. And honestly, if you're scared to throw out the realtor thing, don't be, because the reality is these types of houses, the ones that are run down, the ones you're finding on probate lists, the ones on the foreclosures, most realtors aren't equipped to find a cash buyer and close them quickly. So by throwing it out, you think like you're going to lose business. Honestly, it will actually help seek your motivation out sooner, because they're going to tell you, I don't want the property inspected. I don't want to get financing contingencies, and it'll bring them closer to you. So if you're scared of like, why wouldn't you list it with a realtor? Don't be, because it's eventually going to come up with or without you. I'd rather you be there so you can identify the motivation up front.
So here's the secret. Okay, well, if I have a list of all these properties that, let's say I go to all the properties in my city, what if I just talk to these people? They all want to go with a realtor, right? The secret here is, of course, I literally call wholesaling fishing. This is how I deal with finding sellers. It's just like fishing, right?
Yeah.
If I want to go out here in the ocean, like huge ocean, which is people that own houses in a city, think of, I don't know, New Jersey, right? New Jersey's huge, right? If I go and try to talk to every single seller in New Jersey that wants to sell their property, they're all going to want to get the most for it. So if I go and I try to go find let's say I want to go out here and catch a marlin, all right? A huge billfish, right? It's called a marlin. Love marlin. I love marlin fishing, but like I want to catch it. Am I going to go just, I don't know, go on a boat, go to a random point in the ocean and just throw a bait out? Hopefully it hits. You could, but like, it's a lot more difficult.
You're going to burn a lot of gas. You're going to waste a lot of time, and you're going to get frustrated. That's the same thing you're making here.
But did you know when you go marlin fishing, there's certain areas, okay? So like in Florida, if you're going to go catch a sailfish or a marlin, usually there's these points that are like big caves or like concaves, or like the ocean actually gets really like high. So they're like, it's really deep and then it gets really shallow. And the reason when it gets really shallow, the marlin, they like chasing bait there, because when it gets shallow, they can't really run. And that's why the billfish, that's where all the food is. And so that's where all the big fish are. And so if you go to where all the big fish usually hang out, you're probably going to find a big fish there, right? Versus the vast ocean. Did you know probably 5% of the ocean is really good for fishing? And they're not like barren land. Yeah. It's like me trying to go out here and find an apple tree in the desert. It's like, I should probably go to where there's a lot of water. That's the point. It's like trying to find an apple tree in the entire United States of America. It's like, get away from the desert, go where the actual apples grow. And that's the point. And so in wholesaling, how do we find motivated sellers? We want to go find the points where the wholesaling deals usually are, where these motivated sellers hang out. I will tell you, 90% of wholesaling real estate deals will have a distressed problem with the property. 90% of them. Like there's a massive issue going on in the house. The roof's leaking. There's mold. Something's just ugly. I hate to say it. It's an ugly house. Something's going on that makes the house look ugly. It's the truth. And so that's where we're going to focus on. If 90% of our deals are just like that, that's where we're going to go focus on. And so what I've personally found in my own wholesaling real estate experiences, there's about, I would say 4 to 5 different ways to find these motivated sellers. There's really 4 main ones that actually will lead you to really good success. And so what are these 4 strategies to go find motivated sellers? If you're going to go find the motivated seller, there's usually 4 ways to find them. 80% of all wholesaling deals are found with this method. Shocking, but like crazy. Here it is. Either drive for dollars, you cold call a list, you text motivated sellers, or you send them some type of mail. That is it. There's no way, which way around it. That's it. Driving for dollars, get in a car, look for ugly houses, and get a list from there. You can cold call a list of somebody that's distressed. Maybe, there's a code violation on the property. Maybe they didn't pay their taxes.
Yeah.
Call them up. You can text a list of people that maybe haven't paid their mortgage. You can actually get that info. It's crazy. Send the mail. So you can send them a piece of mail saying, hey, you're looking to sell your property, right? On top of that too, mail is kind of like this thing we call reverse driving for dollars, where I find an ugly house. All I do is I put a sticky note on the property, which is technically a mail piece on an ugly house. Say, hey, this is Zach. I had a quick question about your property. Please give me a call back. It works really well. And so you might be asking, like, this seems really confusing. This is like, what do I do? Right? Like, do I do all 4 of them? Do I do 1 of them? Do I do 2 of them? Like, whoa, what's going on? The key here is just stick to 1 or 2 of those. Don't complicate it, right?
No,
Once you start complicating, it gets crazy.
I would do 1 and master it, and then add another one on top of it. And you might gravitate to one over the other. Some people just hate cold calling. If you're going to admit it and you don't want to go through it, you're missing out on a great opportunity. But you got to be honest which one you're going to do, because if you're just going to try to force yourself to do it, it's going to take more than force to do this.
It's literally like music taste, in my opinion, right? It's like some people love country music and some people hate country music. Some people love rap, some people hate rap. Figure out what type of music you like, right? And then do that one.
But here's the truth is, whichever one you use first and you have success and you get a deal, I promise you that's the one you're going to gravitate towards. And actually, it's a good rule of thumb.
I 100% agree with that. And so which way in 2023, if you're a beginner, which we would recommend, I would say the best recommendation, and this is because it costs pretty much no money to do this, and you can pay money to start doing this, but you don't really have to if you're a beginner. But I would say cold calling and reverse driving for dollars together is probably going to be the best method possible for you to have success in wholesaling. If I can just broadly tell anybody, if you're a guy or gal watching this video right now, and if 2023, you want to get a deal, cold calling and reverse driving for dollars is most likely going to be the highest % chance that you're going to get a deal.
It's the most efficient.
Now you can send mail out. Now I'll tell you the highest percentage will probably be sending mail out, but do you want to drop $4 or $5 grand a month to do that? No, it's impractical for a beginner to do that. Right. But I would say if you got no money, you want to get a deal, the highest chance, cold calling, reverse driving for dollars be the best one. I'll teach you exactly how to do it. My scripts, all at freelisting.com. What type of lists? What are the top lists to be finding these type of motivated sellers? Pretty simple. I'm a simple guy. Government lists, paid lists, or earned lists. Those are the only lists you're going to find in wholesaling real estate. 3 categories. Government list is your list you get from the government. No real estate wholesaling guru will ever tell you what a government list is, because they can't make money off of you. They can't get an affiliate link off of a government list. They can't sell you a course on the government list because it's just a list from the local government. Right? They can't. They don't like it because they didn't really invent it. We learned what government lists were from books. We actually read books here. And these are old wholesaling real estate books and real estate investing books from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And they talked about these things called code violations. Specifically not code violations in these old books, because they have they just looked at distressed properties, but they specifically talked about people that don't pay on their mortgages or taxes. They talked about probates and just these things we started learning. We started going to the government and be like, if I'm a distressed property owner, would the government know about it? And it turns out the government does know a lot of stuff. And we don't not get into debate about should the government know everything about us, but why don't we profit off that information? And
Yeah.
that's the point of government lists. So if you have an ugly house, your neighbor's probably going to rat on you, just saying that nicely. It's like, this person has an eyesore to the community. They will report it to the code enforcement department, which is crazy. And once they report it to the code enforcement department, then they get a code violation. They get like a $50 per day fine. If somebody passes away, it's not private. It's publicly on the probate on a property, which is, it's insane for that to be, but it's true, right?
Yeah.
If you go out here and you don't pay your taxes, the property appraiser will put a lien on your property and they make it publicly known. They try to embarrass you. Crazy, right? If you don't pay your IRS taxes, we love the IRS. We always pay our taxes and we love the IRS. We love the IRS, just in case they're watching. But if you don't pay your IRS taxes, they'll put a lien on your house. If you don't pay your credit cards, Bank of America will put a lien on your property. Any type of way, if you don't pay anything or you have some type of issue financially, the government will know about it. And those are great lists to be going after in wholesaling. On top of that, you can pay for a list, right? And so I'll give you one example. There's a list that it's not free. It is called the vacant property list. This is a list of all properties where nobody's living in the property. Nobody. How does the government know that? That's really weird, right? Guess what? If you don't pick up your mail, I think after 7 days, they put the USPS, the United States Postal Service, will put a green slip on the property that says vacant. Don't mail to this person anymore. And they have a database of it.
Yeah. And they hold your mail.
And they sell that data to companies. Crazy. And you can buy it from a paid list like listria.com, aka PropStream, or like zachdata.com. Insane. And so you can go after those type of lists. On top of that, too, you can do something what we call earned list. I'm biggest fan of earned lists, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are lists you can't buy. And so the problem in wholesaling is when a list gets really easy, everybody in that market will go do it. Like the vacant list, I'm just saying this nicely. Everyone can pull, if you have actually it's a free trial for listria.com, LISTREI.com. You can just pull a vacant list right there. You get a list of all the vacant properties in your neighborhood. The thing is, then if everyone can do it, it's like fishing. We're going to use another fishing example. If you're in a lake and it's got all the great bass and you're the only person there, it's a fun time. No one's fishing there. But like if you got 50 people fishing in that one lake and they just always fish there every single day, it's a lot of people are on the pond, right? It gets a little tougher to catch a fish. The fish start getting smart. Earn lists, that's your secret honey hole in fishing, right? Like you can't buy, no one can buy the list. You have to earn the list. You have to go out there and actually get a list. And nobody else can get that specific list, which it's crazy. So earned lists are very important. That's kind of your reverse trying for dollars, and specific lists from the government list you can get too. The point here is we get a list, we get their phone number. TruePeopleSearch.com is a great free tool for finding someone's phone number, but you can pay for that information. Freehousing.com will show you how to do it. Either call them, text them, whatever way to reach out to a seller. That's the point. The next part is getting a seller on the phone. This is probably the scariest, for a beginner, this is probably the scariest part. And this is the part why everybody listens to us. And this is why we actually lead to people having success in wholesaling. Because when it gets to getting a seller on the phone, people flip out. They get scared, they get nervous, and they don't know what to do. And most gurus and real estate coaches tell you to like act like the salesperson and have this fake voice. Be like, hey, this is Zach from Zach Home Solutions. How are you doing today, ma'am? It's just a fake 50s ice cream salesman or Tupperware salesman at the door in the 70s, right? You have to just be legit and just focus on just the simple script we have, right?
Yeah. So the days where everybody knows about the used car salesman. The reality in wholesaling, it's not sales. Everyone calls, it's sales training. No, you do follow a format, but the reality is you have to guide your sellers. And if they're not motivated, it's easy to get out. And that's going to be a lot of the people. Don't go all the way down if they're not motivated. Number two, you got to be authentic. If you're not authentic, people are going to snuff you out. People want to do business with people they align with and they like. So be authentic and guide your seller to help them get out of their own way. Because most of the people we're buying houses on, they know they need to sell it. They just need to know you're going to give them the confidence to guide them through this overwhelming, complicated journey. I love this part, but everybody in the industry wants to tell you this is a sales process. And you have to, if you're really good at selling insurance or anything like that, you can do. No, dude, guys, I wasn't great at selling a lot of things. I was really good at being authentic and guiding people and helping them get out of their own way. If you think you can do that, you'll be fine. You do not have to be a superstar salesman. Anyone that says, I need a rock star salesman in wholesaling, get rid of them. They never work because they're fake, and people snuff out fakeness quick.
That's it. And so we have a really simple script, right? And the simple script is what we call MCTP. MCTP. When you talk to somebody that says they want to sell their property, all you literally have to ask them is MCTP, and then you get off the phone. It's the biggest hack ever.
So you simplify it. So many people out there trying to teach these complicated scripts and everything you do. The reality is, use the acronym because it'll stick in your mind. MCTP. Everyone remember, even if you get wildly nervous, which most people do, MCTP. So if they tack you on price first, remember price isn't a qualifier. Hey, tell me a little bit about the condition of the house.
Well, let's break down MCTP first.
Okay, let's do it. So basically the M stands for motivation. So we want to quickly identify if we have a motivated seller. How do you do it? The best thing is get him talking and get past yes, no questions. How you doing today? And just most people will naturally go into a conversation with you. And honestly, if you can't get into a natural flow conversation, so you got a choice. You could be an order taker at McDonald's. You want the number 1, the number 2, the number 3. That's realtor world. I don't operate in there. If you need to sell your house, I want to talk to you. If you want to sell your house, there's not much I can do. What's going on? Why are we talking today? Shut your mouth. Let them do 80% of the talking. 20% are highly targeted questions. So this isn't a sales process. It's just knowing what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. And a lot of people call it sales. It's not. You're just guiding them down a process. You can't force anyone to sell them a house. It's like car salesmen. You can convince them to pay $50,000 more for an upgraded car. It doesn't work this way. It's opposite. So motivation is key. And don't panic if you don't get motivation off the bat, because I'm going to teach you how to do it. The next one, C, is for condition. So if they graze over the motivation, by the way, I don't ask them, hey, what's your motivation? I go, why are we having this conversation today? What's going on in your life?
Simple.
So it's either going to go one or two ways. Either they're going to tell you what's going on in their personal life outside of real estate. Remember, real estate is just a side effect. Or they're going to tell you what the issue is with the house. I'm looking for both stories. And if I get both, they have a personal problem and a house problem, I know I'm going to do a deal with this person. I just got to guide them down there. So the next one is condition. And I would say, what's the condition of your house? Tell me what's going on with the house. Tell me a little bit about the house. Shut your mouth and let them talk. If they don't do a lot of talking, odds are you do not have a motivated seller. What's your price? The house is fine. What's your price? No, tell me what's going on with the house. And that will lead you more motivation tips. So now we go in condition. And here's a key. When they go on forever how perfect the house is, why on earth are you considering selling it then? Just cut them off. If it's sloppy and they're telling you about all the problems, listen, I don't care how long it takes. The next key question, and this will truly identify people's motivation, is T. The T stands for time frame. Hey, Mr. Seller, if I'm able to buy your house, where are you going to be moving to? And shut your mouth. Honestly, if they haven't thought this process out, you're probably 60 to 90 days away from even doing a contract or closing on the deal. Now, if someone says, hey, listen, I'm moving in with my sister and I need to be there by the end of the month. I have a moving truck and I'm all set. Awesome. The motivation's probably going to be pretty high. If they go, I haven't even thought about it yet. That's realtor land. You can't buy a house from someone if they don't have somewhere to go. And odds are in today's world of real estate, if they don't understand what the cost of buying a new house, if they own that house 30 years, we have little ladies who want to rent a house. They're in shock when the rent's $2,000 and they have a free and clear house. Yeah. So make sure you know the time frame. The last one we're coming up on is P for price. And price isn't always a motivating factor. It's a culmination of people's motivation. Now, don't panic when someone throws you a retail price. I don't care. If I know the house has problems or the seller has problems, I actually kind of ignore this part, but I'm going to let them shoot over the bow and see what kind of, what do you need to get for this house? I don't say, what price do you want? What's your asking price? What's my offer? What do you need to get? It's all about how you talk to them. We go into grave detail on the freewholesaling.com. Once we do that, do not remember, that's just a starting point. It's never your ending point. And that's usually not going to be like their lowest offer. But a combination of the MCTP will give you a final conclusion by that conversation. And usually within 5 to 10 minutes, if you have a motivated seller. If they won't answer any of these questions and they're difficult, try to crack the ice with building more rapport, but you got to connect with them. And the key with this is what we teach you at freewholesaling.com is transition your conversations to have conversations. Because when I'm in a free-flowing conversation, I put down my guard and I tell you what the real problem is. If they're not going to put down their guard, they need a realtor, because realtors deal in that world. I don't deal with that. So it's real simple that. So MCTP, a lot of times just asking why they're talking to me, I can identify it pretty quickly. By the time I get the condition and time frame, I already know if I'm even going to have a shot at the price. So once we have it, we can go on from there. So the next thing we want to do is we want to set an appointment. Now, either you're going to go to the house physically. If you have the option to do it, it is hugely advantageous. Hugely advantageous. Why? Because a lot of human connection communication is nonverbal. Actually, more than half, I think it's around 64%. I'm not a scientist on the number. Why? Because you can see their eyes, you can see their body language, you can see their posture. It's everything. Now, meet with them physically, because a belly to belly is always going to give you a huge, huge advantage. But if you're doing it virtually, you have to really tune in on what they're saying, and especially on the words. Like, listen, do I need to sell the house or do I want to sell the house? And you have to start using the same language and get to the point of not using like realtor language. So we want to meet with them. And then basically when I meet with the seller, my next step is a little trick we do is called conditioning the seller. And all we are is, before I meet with the seller, especially physically, I'm going to say, listen, we're going to go out. I'm going to spend a little bit of time with you. We set up the expectation. It's usually 45 minutes to an hour. And at the end of the conversation, you have a decision to make. Either you love Rick Ginn to death and you want to work with it, and I buy your house and we work together, and that's a solid yes. Or, hey, I don't like what you had to say, and it's a hard no. But I have to have you commit to a yes or no at the end of this conversation for me to take this time out and come out and visit your house. Is that fair? And I shut my mouth till they give me an answer. Now, if you're doing it virtually, you do the exact same thing. You just do it over the phone. And when we're doing it virtually, you're actually getting a contract signed before you even have someone go out to the house, because you really got to guard your time doing that. Why do we do that? Because people will ghost you and they will waste your time. So imagine we go through this entire thing. Say it's an hour presentation. You look at the house, everything. At the end, they go, well, I'm not quite sure, Rick. I'll have to think about it. This is where you go back to your conditioning statement. Hey, John, remember when we met earlier and I said you committed to making a yes or no decision? What am I missing that's making you uncomfortable? Or did I miss not explaining something to you? And this is the part where we're basically going through a trial close, and you have to find out what their obstacle is. Is it you? Are they actually need more time to do it? And then we go in freewholesaling.com and break down every objection the seller's going to get. But it only works if you precondition every one of your sellers, because I want a yes or I want a no. And I'm okay with no. The one answer I don't want is maybe. And if you get a maybe, it's like dead man's land, man. It's like you're in the friend zone and you're never going to get out of it. And especially if you're inexperienced. So please do not skip the preconditioning of it. It is so, so important.
I agree. And so conditioning the seller. Now we get into kind of the offer, right? Here's the thing about the offer. There's multiple ways to be looking at it. And so as a beginner, I know it's a little stressful thinking about the offer and things like that. But here's the thing. What's the property worth? Before we give an offer, we got to figure out how much is the property worth, so we can figure out exactly how much to offer the seller, right? And so if you go to freewholesaling.com, which I'm saying that again nicely, we have something called the MAO. And what the MAO is, it's basically our max allowable offer. It's literally a calculation to figure out how much we can offer the seller. Now, I'm not going to get a full conversation on it, but that's pretty much it. And so let's go here into freewholesaling.com. I'm just going to show you a little graphic on there. But here it is right here, freewholesaling.com. So you go here, we have something called the repair cost worksheet. And really what's going to figure out is, number one, how to figure out how much to repair, right? Like how much a repair costs, how much do we have to spend, all that great fancy stuff, right? And all we really got to do here is just figure out how much the repairs are. So I go to the square footage of the property. I can go by if it's a light, medium, or heavy, and that's all we got to figure out. That's it. Do I have a light, medium, or heavy repair? That's all you really honestly got to figure out. And then once you figure out what the repair cost is, we can plug in our calculator. And with our calculator, we have the MAO formula. And really, let me show you what it is. Now, at wholesaling.com, you obviously know, we'll break down the whole thing. But here it is. So here's our MAO formula, right? And so it's ARV minus repairs times 70, 80, 83, 85%, depending what the ARV is. ARV just stands for after repair value. That's what the property is worth on its best day. So if it's all renovated, looks perfect, like beautiful realtor style house, like for a TV show, if it's worth 200, then do it like that. ARV is pretty easy to pull. You just got to look at comparable properties that are selling. So what are other 3.2s or 2.2 selling for in the area? And that's how I figure out what our MAO is. And once we figure out what our MAO is, our max allowable offer, we can know what's the most we can offer to the seller on this property. Once we know that, things get a little different, right? So if I know the most I can offer on the property is $60,000, that means a cash buyer's rich landlord house flipper is willing to pay $60,000 for the house. So if I lock up the deal for $50,000, that means I'll probably make $10,000 on the transaction. That's how it works. It's really simple. Anything below the MAO should be your profit for it. So that is what the MAO formula is. Now, I got a lot of people arguing with me, oh, that's not the right MAO formula. It's the right MAO formula. As somebody that makes millions of dollars wholesaling around the entire country, it works. The formula is slightly different around the whole country, but that's really, for most people, what it should be. And so what is the point out here of giving the offer? Low ball, low ball, low ball. And this is something I cannot stress enough, but always try to get the lowest price for the deal. The lower the price, the more money you make. And don't give like an insulting offer, but get a low price, right?
Yeah. And remember, if you build up rapport to the point where you're having a conversation, you build it up. You're going to go in and use the method we call Go for No. We teach it over freewholesaling.com. The reason for it, because a lot of you are calculating your MAO, your maximum allowable offer. And for some reason, people are taught to, like, you guys are like, okay, it's 180,000. I can't do 180,000. Then you go, I'm going to go 177,590. I'm like, where are you going to go with that? So the idea is, if you have a low ball offer, you've built up some sort of rapport and conversation. It's going to be a painful blow, but this is a strategy. So when we make that offer, 99% of the time, it's probably going to get rejected. Now, I'm telling you, I've had them accepted before, and I'm just like, oh my God, they could have gone that much lower. But the problem is, you have a lot of room to work with. But if you start closer near your MAO, you're wasting your time. I'd rather you put in a lowball offer and expect to get it rejected and then get a counter. Now, if you don't build rapport, you will get kicked out of the house or hung up on the phone. And that's the difference on what we teach. You can't just start off, hey, Mr. Seller, your house is for sale. I see you got on the market for 220. Will you take 50? Click. No, we go through a conversation. We qualify them. We go through the MCTP and we build the rapport, have a conversation. And then we go, listen, I can offer you, I don't know, like $100,000. And then they're most likely going to get upset. But we're looking for the reaction, because when you get that reaction, then you go, listen, me and my wife said we can't go below like 130, and your MAO is like 180. I just saved you $50,000. It is a strategy. The reality is why most people are scared to do it, because it makes you feel vulnerable and scared. Welcome to the world of wholesaling. If you can't get uncomfortable, you cannot survive in this business. Who cares? You're going to get rejected. Expect it. At least you get a counter and you have something to work with.
Yes, that's it. And so one thing I will tell you is, when you're looking at properties and you do not have to be the expert real estate guy. Okay, guys, as someone that got the first deal at 17 years old, not knowing a thing, you can do it. Everyone does it. You are not the real estate expert. You're the people expert. So just understand that you have to focus on the people and their problems. One really important thing when it comes to talking to a seller, giving the offer, and doing these things, there's one really key, important piece of advice I give to you. Think about you're talking to your grandma. And I'm just think about this for a second. If your grandma comes up to you and says, I think I need to sell the property, and you're just having a regular conversation, and they say, I just can't afford this. The repairs are too much. I just want to get rid of this property. Are you going to say, Okay, grandma, what's the condition of the property? How's the AC? How's the repairs? Or like they go through a problem. Oh, my husband died. I just want to get out of this property. What's your ideal time frame for selling? Like, you're not going to do that. That's so weird, right?
Mhm.
Be an actual human being. Don't be a salesperson. Don't be a robot. It'll work well. So you're not an expert on real estate, right? You're not going to be the person that knows how the construction, or is it a shingle roof or a metal roof? But guess what? We can just pull up information on the property. So all you got to do is just analyze the property. There's a thing called the property appraiser website. So if you're a guy that or gal that is scared that the government knows everything about you, this is a scary one. There's every single property in your city. It's publicly known who the owner is of that property,
With a few exceptions.
with a few exceptions. If it's like a safe house or something,
law enforcement
but like
or something like that.
usually those are redacted, but it's very rare. Okay, I've only gone through a handful of those. But these properties, you can figure out the roof type, the square footage, the year built, all this stuff for free. It costs no money at all.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. So property appraiser, I would look at the information that for there. That's how we do it. So the question next is, how do I go out here and figure out how much to offer? What's my offer? What's my formula, right? My personal opinion, it is always best to get the price first from a seller, right?
Yeah, that's why we put.
So how do you do it? Like, what's your method if you go to talk to a seller to get their price out?
I'm just going to use simple words that try to get to the point of their motivation. Hey, Mr. Seller, what do you need to get for this house to get this done? I'm using the words need. I don't use want. I don't see ask. I don't even like the word offer. And I want to shoot it over. Now, in the beginning, they're going to be hesitant to answer this. Some people will answer it, but for the most part, like, I don't know, Rick, you're the expert. You tell me. And so once again, this is not about being a salesperson. It's just about timing and knowing what to say at the right moment. So if you think of it like a volleyball match or like a tennis match, you serve the ball over, they hit it back to you with some BS excuse because deep down, they know the answer. There's about 5% of the people, they're usually little old ladies and men that don't know. And you have to respect that when it does come because they own the house 40 years. But they know it. So they just served you a BS answer. Here's the secret to it. Serve it right back. Hey, Mr. Seller, I know you don't know, but in the perfect world, if I give you permission to make a mistake, what do you need to get for the house? And shut up. And then that time, they're either going to answer you or they're going to send it right back to you. And so now you're playing. So whoever stops serving is going to be vulnerable. So you have to keep serving. And then they go, well, I don't know. Once again, I've really thought about it. I really got to dig deeper, but you tell me you're here. So now the ball's back in my court. I tell you what, I give you permission to give me a price. Just give me a ballpark. I'm just trying to see where we need to be to get this deal done. And most times by the third time, out of frustration, they will answer you. And I'm looking for their subconscious answer. It works really well. But that's not the only method we teach on this.
No. And so sometimes the person's going to say this, and this is kind of the issue, but you're coming here to buy my house. You give me the price.
Yeah.
And so I always do this. I'm like, okay, if you want a price out of me, it is going to be such a stupid lowball price that you're going to not like it. So here's the problem. If I go out here and I know the property's worth 200,000, I mean, I'd love to offer the person 50 grand, right? That'd be 150 grand in profit. This ain't going to work though, right?
Yeah.
And I know they're not going to take that. So I could do two methods. There are two ways if somebody wants me to give their price, right? I either do the dollar bill method, which is kind of a joke, but it's like, I mean, hey, Mr. Seller, would you take $1 for the property? Obviously, they're going to say no, but they might be like, oh, what? $1? I'm like, yeah, we can sign something right now for $1. I can buy this thing for $1. That's a great price for me. I'd love to do that. I would not take $1 for the property. Oh, you would not sell this property for $1 to me? No, you're not stupid low. Well, then I guess you've already established a price in your mind, right? Well, I don't know the price. $2, $3. And it's the same thing with the volley. And then eventually they scream out their price. But that's not my favorite one. My favorite one is actually going out here and lowballing them, giving the offer first. So a lot of people think that giving an offer first loses all this leverage and great stuff. But that's only if your first offer is terrible. Your first offer is terribly high. If your offer is really low, use the good cop, bad cop method. And so y'all already know how interrogations go. You got the nice, good cop, and they got the angry, crazy guy. Mm-hmm. And you got the good cops like, I'm just trying to help you out here. This guy's nuts, right? do the same. Guys, police officers do this because it actually works. They've been doing this for hundreds of years, not because it makes them feel good, because it works.
Yeah.
And so you're going to use the same exact method. Ready? So I talked to a seller and they're, you give me the price, give me the price. You came here, give me the price. I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, I was texting my partner, Rick, bad cop, bad cop, right? Like,
Yeah.
because the reason you're the bad cop because you're not here. Now, if you're at the appointment with me, then no, we can't do that, right?
Got it.
But he's not here. It's just me. I saw my partner, Rick, and he told me he wanted to buy this house for like $130,000. See, I'm not saying a word. I said it.
Yeah.
And I will shut up. I would not talk. I have gone silent for like a minute doing this before.
Yeah.
And you just get 130. I can do 130. I'm like, what? I didn't offer 130. That's what he said. There's so much stress and like, I don't know, anxiousness in the air that there's a negotiation going to happen in the future. And you just spit that out there. Usually they say, that's way too low. I could never do that. Hey, I know Rick's crazy. He just wants to buy everything for super cheap and he just wants to get the best discount on everything. I'm here to reason. I'm the good guy, like he's not here. I'm here. I mean, what works for you? He wants to do 130, but obviously I'm the person writing the agreement and doing it. So I make the final say on this. What works for you? You just kind of do a little negotiation from there, right?
Yeah.
And just meet in the middle, do whatever you can and get below that MAO and you should be fine. From there, you sign the contract. Pretty simple, right? Wholesaling.com with the free contracts. We show you the contracts, how they work, all that stuff. And then lastly, we send the agreement to a title company. Simple as that. We already got the title company done, right? And that's really the process of getting the acquisitions and the deal locked up, right? Then from there, we got to find our landlord, our house flipper, who's going to be AKA our cash buyer, who's going to buy that property for cash. Honestly, what I found, either you're going to find them from cash sales, which is a paid list where you find people that are buying houses for cash and you just call them up. You can call the for rents, people that are landlords trying to rent out their property saying, hey, are you looking to buy any more property? You can go to local property auctions and find these people or ask your local title company if they have any cash buyers. It's a great way to find cash buyers. Now, the key here is there are good buyers and bad buyers or fake buyers, right? And so
A lot of fake buyers.
how do you find the difference between a good buyer and a bad buyer?
It's simple because on the back end, you need to vet.
Yeah.
So don't be one of these wholesalers who says, I got 1,000 cash buyers. You don't. You got about 925 wholesalers and you got about maybe 20 or 30 cash buyers, but they're all confused and half of them don't have the money. So how do we know they have the money? Ask. It's real simple.
Yeah.
It's called a proof of funds. Now, it's challenging when you don't have any deals to ask somebody for a proof of funds, but you can set them up and ask all the qualifying questions. And then when you have a deal, ask for a proof of funds. Here's the key. A proof of funds needs to come from a screenshot on someone's app, which is the most common way now, or a bank statement within the last 30 days. If they don't have this, it means they are not a cash buyer. Because the longer the story is, the more they're lying to you. Listen, buyers are liars. There's a reason why they call them into it. I find half the people that come and contact us want to buy our stuff for cash are not real legitimate cash buyers. So if you skip the POF and you spend hours, if not days, working with people, I warned you. It stops at proof of funds. If they can't produce a proof of funds and there's a long story, it means they don't have any money and you need to be aware. End of story.
That's it. And so just ask, hey, can I get a picture of your bank account, a proof of it? We go in the right questions to ask and everything at wholesaling.com. But the next one here is if the person is a buyer and they say looking to buy houses for cash, you just walk them through the house. Hey, come at 4:00 on Tuesday and go through the house and see if you want to buy it or not. The key here, guys, is the buyer. And no one ever talks about this, but the buyer has to agree on the price first. This is really important. But the buyer has to agree on the price. So before they walk through the house, they have to say, yes, I actually do want to buy this property. And I do agree that price works for me.
It should just be a verification process. Now, remember, you're selling the contract, not the property, but the property is associated with the contract. So once they commit to the contract and they agree to number, they've kind of ran their numbers, their comps. They go, hey, I just want to verify the numbers. Now they are actually looking at the property, but you've got to vet them to buy your contract first because you're not a realtor. You're not showing the house. Remember, you're doing a basic walkthrough to make sure that they're okay with the terms of the obligation of the contract, which that real estate's attached to. So you should already have a definitive price and everything. And as long as you've been upfront and you've been open with what it needs for rehab, the type of property, it should go down. But if you completely misrepresent what the contract represents on the property, you're going to have massive problems. So be very clear.
Exactly. And they say, yeah, I'm good buying this. And how do you talk to the seller on this? I literally just tell the seller, hey, my partner wants to go by and look at the house. Simple. Like, I just keep it easy, keep it simple. Don't lie. Just They are your partner, right? That's it. And then have the buyer sign the assignment of contract. That's basically a contract agreeing to sell your piece of paper to buy it for an assignment fee, or what they call the finder's fee.
And you'll have to show them the contract. That's where you bring in your title company.
Yeah, don't hide the contract. They're buying your contract.
They're buying your contract. So hiding it doesn't make any type of sense. Now, I show them the contract once they do the agreement and we've agreed on price on that. I don't want to give out any more information until I have a firm commitment.
That's it. And then, everyone's like, but what if the seller finds out that I'm making a profit on the closing?
Oh, no.
Guys, here's the thing. I've never had a problem with the seller with this because it's just a line on a statement.
Yeah.
And they never even know what it is.
And they're getting what you committed to them. So if you make it a big deal and a problem, it's going to be a problem. And honestly, I tell everybody buying a house, this is what I do for a living. It's how I make a profit.
No, they know you're making a profit. They might not know you're wholesaling it, but you might not be wholesaling it because you might be able to have the intention to buy it. Who knows? But the also thing on top of this is when you're talking to these sellers and they agree to sell it for 100 and they're getting 100 at closing, like there's never any questions they ask. But two, if they're like, what's this assignment fee? I've had this, sometimes, right? I get it. It's not the first time that's ever happened to me. I just say, wait, it says the buyer here is KJF Holdings and not Zach Ginn Holdings. What's going on? What's going on? Guess what? This is why the title lady who has gone through wholesaling will explain this. Yeah, they actually were going to buy it in Zach, but they just transferred it to another company with their partner.
Yeah,
the cash is already wired. Well, I already got the money. Who cares?
This is why we want you guys to use your own title company, because they'll stand up for you in this part of the transaction. And if you use a foreign title company, they'll usually run you under the bus, and it can spiral quickly. Remember, I'm upfront with people. I'm doing this to make a profit. You want $100,000? We've committed to it. That's my obligation to you. You're okay with that? Great.
If you ever feel offended that somebody did that, though, here, I want you to understand this. If you have a mortgage on a property, you've probably gotten this plenty of times. Your mortgage has been moved to Johnson Financial. Yeah. That contract, that debt got assigned to another person for a profit. Is that scary? Is that terrible? It gets moved over. Like the contract buyer just got moved over. It's still getting the money, right? That's it. And so when you get that assignment of contract signed, we're going to make sure title's going through and everything. We're going to follow up with the seller at least once or twice a week, make sure everything's going smooth. The title people are actually calling her or him and just making sure the process is going good. Then you got closing day. You get that check in your hand, like all those people we showed you before, and you make the profit, you repeat, and you make a ton of money. That is wholesaling real estate. Now, I will leave off one thing you guys should know. There is a secret to actually becoming successful in wholesaling, especially in 2023. There is one secret. There's only 2 words I can tell you that will lead to your success in wholesaling. It is consistent action. Consistent action. It's not much, but it's true. He or she that does the work that they need to do every single day, the talking to sellers, the trying for dollars, the follow-ups, the acquisitions, the cash buyers, just the action, the work they have to do. Anyone can do action for a day. Anyone can do action for a month. But will you consistently show up every single day and do that action at a high enough volume? That'll always lead to your success. Nobody has ever gotten big in bodybuilding or really good at basketball or fishing by just fishing for like a month and then stopping and then going back a year later. Like, it's everyone who's ever good at anything in life, they've consistently did it. You don't learn a language in a month and then it's with you forever. You have to consistently immerse yourself in it and then you learn it. Nothing in life that is actually worthwhile or a skill or anything you can get by just doing it for like a day or two. You have to consistently do it every single day and you'll get rich in this business. That is the secret. Nobody talks about it. I can't sell you a course on it, but consistent action.
That's it. That's the secret. So the consistent part is everything, and then the action. Because listen, you guys can go through freewholesaling.com like till you turn blue, but if you're not going to take the steps to move forward with it, there's nothing I can do for you. So me and Zach are looking for the people that are actually going to take the actions, go out there and do it, and find a way to fight through it, understanding it's not going to be easy, and they're going to have to do what most are unwilling to do. And if you accept that challenge up front and you understand it, and you don't try to take the filters of your old life and your old job and try to apply it to wholesaling, because if it didn't work on that job, why do you think it worked with wholesaling? So a lot of you guys you've got to trust in the system and take the action. And remember, you're dealing with people. People are unpredictable. So you have to go through quantity and numbers, and you just got to remember, you're here to walk your sellers and guide them. Look at yourself as a guide, not a salesperson, and you guide them. You will never make somebody sell you your house. It's usually a yes or no decision. And if you get too into the weeds on negotiations, you're probably leaning more towards the retail side, and you got to stop doing that. Understanding you're going to get rejected. And remember, negotiations start from the time you get a counter offer. So just get it out of the way. Build rapport, get the counter offer. That's when real negotiations start. And so do not come in with your MAO. That's the part that just drives me nuts. You guys are better than that. You got to have room. So if you go super low and then you have a MAO over here, you got room to work. But most of you are right here making your offers, and you're like, okay, I'll go here. No, you're too far off. Guys, we're complicating this business. We have to simplify it. I know rejection sucks, but if you can get that initial rejection out of the way, you have room to work, and you'll be shocked how much profit you'll make more on your average wholesale deal by using that strategy.
Exactly. So that is it, guys. If you want to go out here, wholesale real estate right now, as a complete beginner, start flipping some paper, making a ton of money, this is my exact guide for you. I get so many people, so many DMs, how to get started in this business. This is exactly how to do it. freewholesaling.com. And that's really it. So what we're going to do right now is answer some questions, see how we can help you guys out, and really, see how I can help the people out. Obviously, we're going to do some one-on-ones today because we love doing that. And so let's break it down. So the first question we got is, a wholesale check considered earned income to the IRS? Yes. Unfortunately for you, wholesaling is a legitimate business.
Mm-hmm.
And in any legitimate business in the United States, the IRS wants their cut. And that's always a problem, because wholesaling is legit. You actually have to pay taxes, which I know stinks for people. There's illegitimate ways you don't have to pay taxes, but that's nothing I'll ever recommend. But yeah, if it's a legit business, you're going to have to pay taxes. Oops. Mods Marketing says, got any cash buyers in Mississippi? I have a house under contract. If it's in Jackson, then send it to support@fliplywork.com. If not, someone hit up Modes Marketing Official. There's a course I took that literally teaches how to pose as a buyer and daisy chain to steal deals. I know what course you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's true.
It's true.
It's true, of course. But here's the thing. I've actually, those people for sellmypaper.com, they always pose to be buyers. All you have to do, this is the most shocking thing you have to ask them. Show me a proof of funds. They get shook. They're like, oh, here's a proof of funds.
They try to sweet talk around it.
But here's the thing. All right, John Smith sent me a proof of funds. I look at the proof of funds. It says, John Smith is approved for $5 million from JCM Title, JCM Capital, or whatever it is, right? I'm like, what? What is this? I'm like, this is not a bank. All you have to do is ask for a bank account. And sometimes they do this. Here's a bank account. It has $3 million in it. I can buy this thing all day. And I see the bank account, and I'm like, there's no account number, and there's no owner on the account. Oh, okay. Well, let me unblur it. The account owner is JSFL4 Capital Incorporated. I'm like, most people are like, okay, that's good enough. No. That's the guru's bank account that they made for selling $50,000 courses. Go out here and literally ask this. This is the craziest thing. Get the account number, call the bank and say, hey, I'm calling to verify funds for someone saying they're looking to buy a piece of real estate. Oh yeah. Banks are okay with this.
They're perfectly
Here's
fine.
the account number. Is the name on the account holder John Smith? No, it's Guru Smith. It's Guru Johnson. Here's the thing. Bank accounts have companies, but there's names on the companies.
Yeah, they won't give you the name. They'll just verify if you have the correct name.
And here's the thing. No, John Smith's not on it. It's the guru's bank account.
Remember, if it's on a letterhead, that means it's nowhere near a bank account, and you're probably 30 days, even if that letter was correct for you being funded. The whole purpose of a proof of funds is make sure it's in a bank, liquid, ready to go to wire. So you have the element of speed. These letters, guys, I saw an advertisement on Fiverr the other day for $5. Guy writes proof of funds all day long.
They're fake.
It's all fake. So verify it. Like, stop. You have the right to call a bank and verify it. It should be on a bank's letterhead. There should be an address and there should be a phone number, and just say, listen, I'm calling to verify proof of funds. And the banks can answer yes or no questions. They're not going to give you detailed information for privacy.
Here's the coolest part. This is the best part ever. You can fake a proof of funds and have no legal repercussions.
No legal
I can make a
repercussions.
proof of funds saying I have $10 trillion. There's nothing wrong about that. But if I go and give you a fake bank account screenshot or a fake if I get a fake proof of funds showing that Zach Ginn has $10 trillion in his bank account and he's the richest man ever, signed someone from Chase, and I do Chase Bank and I do a fake account number,
Yeah.
that's bank fraud. Like, so if I go out here and he's my buyer and he backs out the deal and I lose, I have 100% legal repercussions to go sue that person for 10, 20 grand. The problem is the people will fake a proof of funds from a bank. That is criminal activity. And that we have laws against that. Like, you can't fake a bank account unless you actually go to jail, but you don't have to even go that far. Just call the bank up and get the information about the person's bank account and ask.
But honestly, you can look at a proof of funds and you can tell.
Yeah.
Like, I can look at any of them and go, the only exception is if you have a lawyer that you can verify on a lawyer's escrow account or a title company. Lawyers and title companies cannot play with that stuff. They are on the hook if they write a bogus letter. So they're the ones, but I will call and verify and make sure it's like a legitimate lawyer or a title company. That's the only exception.
And then on top of that too, if you're getting a fake buyer, you want to figure out if they're fake or anything like that, just ask them this question too. Show me the last 5 houses you've bought for cash.
It should be a simple answer.
And they might give it to you. But here's going to be the weird part. Okay, this is a deal in Florida. Why are the last 5 cash sales in Gilbert, Arizona? Like, what is that? And I look at the person who signed the deed. It's a guru. It's not the guy. It's not John Smith. It's a guru. You know what that means? That means it's a guru's proof of funds. It's a guru fake buyer. Because that guy,
it's part of their course and their program.
that guy that they're using as their credibility, it's not him. He never bought a deal. He's 18 years old. He just spent 40 grand on his mom's bank credit card to go pay for the program. That's how you deal with these fake, stupid cash buyers that are daisy chaining you. All my legit cash buyers, I've made over $30,000 on like assignment deals on. They all have bought at least 5 houses for cash, or at worst had 5 rental properties that I can verify on a deed. Yep. Guys, this is a really hard bit. This is why I love real estate. It's hard to fake real estate, right? Here's one thing in real estate that we do all the time. We can hide our assets. You know, that's very easy to do. But if someone has to prove, if you ask me, give me 5 real estate deals that you own or the 5 last properties you bought for cash, I can verify it like that. And it's hard to fake it, right? Anybody can fake anything else, but that's why I love real estate so much. The fakes don't live in this business. So if you're going out here and worrying if someone's going to steal your deal, they won't. Now, the last part here, I want you guys to understand, we're deep diving on this. If you have a buyer and you're scared that that buyer is going to daisy chain that deal to another buyer, a legit buyer could do that. All you have to do is ask for this beautiful thing. No daisy chainer will ever do this. A non-refundable earnest money deposit, right?
Yeah, they'll never do it.
So what is a non-refundable earnest money deposit, and why don't daisy chainers like that?
Well, number one, they don't have the money. And number two, most daisy chainers, I'd say 60, 70% of them fall out. And what they want to do is throw a lot of mud on the wall and see what sticks. So if they throw out 30 contracts and 2 or 3 close, that's a win because it didn't cost them any money. Now, on the assignment contracts me and Zach put out, you have to ask for permission to daisy chain it. You don't get it. You can't just keep selling the assignment of the assignment. So make sure you're using bona fide assignment of contracts to protect your interest. Because if you don't have it spelled out in your contract, especially your assignment, anybody can daisy chain your stuff. Daisy chain people don't want to put up the money. And here's how you really know it. You'll start to get a long-winded story. That means they're lying to you. Just move on. Because the story's going to be like, well, here's what I use my business partner's sister's, fiance's, brother's, sister's funds, and he's out of the country. But if you'll just bear with me, I'll get this deal done. And then they'll even entice you with more money. It's a waste of time, guys. They're telling you, I'm messing with you, and I'm most likely going to screw you over. Avoid me at all costs. The sweeter the story sounds, more so. I just don't waste my time. I have to put up with plenty of motivated sellers issues. I have no time for the cash buyer's story.
Don't deal with it. And so that's how you don't get your deal stolen, dealt with, terrible with a bad cash buyer.
If they will not honor the contract and they won't give a non-refundable deposit, heed the warning. They're going to tie you up and waste your time.
Exactly. So we're at some questions there. Let's shout out to Jesse. 2 months and 2 deals closed.
Ooh.
Waiting on the third one.
Sweet.
Shout out to Jesse there.
Awesome.
And so let's do some one-on-ones. If you don't want to talk to me, you want to talk to us one-on-one, guys, remember, we do 4 live streams a week. 4 live streams a week. Crazy, right?
Yep.
Guys, because we have a lot of YouTube channels, and every single YouTube channel we do live streams on. And so let me just let's go down the list really quick for everyone. But if you want to hop on, talk to us one-on-one, it might be hard to go on one live stream, but if you go to all 4 and try it, you're probably going to hop on. First of all, on Mondays, on the Rick Ginn YouTube channel, RickGinn, Rick Ginn YouTube channel, he actually drops exclusive content. Rick Ginn had an awesome video yesterday.
Yeah, and Zach doesn't oversee what I say, so I can say what I want.
Lord. He had a exclusive video. It was titled, it was pretty cool. It was feeling overwhelmed in wholesaling, do this. It was very powerful. If you're feeling overwhelmed, that was a great video for it. A lot of great views on that. He goes live on Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern, and he'll do one-on-ones and talk to you, answer questions. We don't have like almost hundreds of thousands of subscribers on that channel yet. It'll happen.
Yeah.
So you ask a question, he'll probably see it. On top of that, too, on Tuesdays, I go live on all the channels where I usually cold call live or I do something cool.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I lowballed a lady and she got really mad at me. I talked to a fake buyer. It was a fun one.
Well, you get to see what you get to deal with in wholesaling, and that's why he's so good at it and he loves doing it. So.
Thursdays is what we're doing here, and then on Sundays on my YouTube channel. So that's 2, 3. That's 3 lives, and then 4 on Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Yeah, we get late. 10 p.m. I do it for my West Coast gang out here.
I'm in bed.
Even the late night owls on the East Coast, like me, sometimes I'll talk to you guys. We do a one-on-one, and it's very powerful. Usually Sundays on my channel, I get animated because I'm passionate. I love this business, right? And so that's really it. So if you want to hop on, the links usually are in Wholesaling Houses for Real. That's our Facebook group. So I'll let everybody know. Go to facebook.com/group/Wholesaling Houses for Real, and you'll be inside the group. We are approaching 100,000 members, which is crazy. We're at 94,500 members. Insane how many people want to talk to us, but you go to the feature tab. We usually pin it like an hour ago. We pinned it. Go right here. You click StreamYard. Boom. And then you hop on. You be backstage with us and get to talk to us. So first person we got Edelmiro. Oh,
how you doing?
He's our guy from Connecticut. What's up?
Yeah, from Connecticut, man. So I had a quick question.
Yeah, what's up? Let me help you out.
I think this one will be for Rick because he says he has ADHD, and I feel like every time I want to stay focused on just doing like deals or getting into just finding properties and stuff, I find myself concentrating for 10 minutes. The next 10 minutes, they ask me to do something, and my head is somewhere else. How can I just get through that?
Well, has it always been that way for you?
Yes.
So it's a blessing and a curse all in the same time, because people with that, you have ability to hyper focus on one single thing and really kill it. The problem with ADHD and what I have is things start coming in, physical objects, people, events, stuff like that, and they start stacking, and it basically takes your conscious mind and it keeps diluting it. And so someone's going to someone's going to get the shaft on it. So what you have to do is set boundaries within your time. And this is about, discipline. I think you're familiar how this works in the martial arts field is you have to set blocks. So I'm a big fan of like 2-hour blocks, especially if you're going to cold call. You just go, listen, I'm going 2 hours. Kids got to like suck it up. I'm not talking about like little babies. You got to take care of them, but you got to block time out. If you have ADHD, if you don't block time out, you are going to get run over because you're trying to always put out a fire. And then I got to tell you, there's the art of like saying no to people. It's not easy for people with ADHD. You're just like always trying to like help everybody out and you tax your own self. So I'm 53. It's taken me a long time to get through it. There's a lot of information to help you. I'm not the expert on it. So I'm a student and I'm always working on it. But ADHD allows me to, when I work with a seller or I do marketing, I'm all in. And then sometimes the process of doing the deals, the underwriting and all that other crap, as he knows with me, he's just like, okay, just do this, Dad, and I'll do this. And that's why we work so well as partners. The problem is when you're a single business operator like you're doing, that's where ADHD starts to get scattered. So when you feel overwhelmed with something, you just got to go back. What do I need to get accomplished today? And so like he hates that I print everything on paper, but like I'll do a list. What is my priority today and what has to be done? And then I prioritize it on the list. And
my issue.
What's that?
My issue is also that because like I try to follow Zach's hours like that. It makes sense. Call after 12, like 2 to 7, like that. People are out of work and it's not too early and do all those stuff. But it's like the time that I have to train is 5 to 8. So I think that's also, I have to choose what is going to be my priority. If it's going to be fighting or real estate at the same time.
I don't think you have to give up both. You have a lot of things going for you, right? You got the MMA. You have to this is a necessity in your life, right? Spend time with your kids. That is you can't avoid that. Like you need to do that. That is something that has to be done. That's something that it makes no logical sense, but it makes complete like rational sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can do your MMA and spend time with the kids and work and still wholesale on the side. Just the chance of you getting a deal is lower, but over a longer time horizon, it'll happen. And so I don't think you have to give up everything you want in life just to wholesale houses. I truly don't believe that.
Yeah,
but I think you just got to be really smart with what you're doing.
So here's one thing with
procrastinating a lot because of like the same thing. Like, I can't make calls because as soon as I make the first call, my daughter is gonna start screaming because it's like it's shows I have to choose.
Then use it. Like people, honestly, people are sympathetic to people raising children, especially single parents and stuff like that, because it's a challenge. Yeah. Do you know how many times this kid screamed in the background when I was doing deals when I was young? Just do it. Stop, move on. I've dealt with VAs with chickens roostering and the roosters crowing in the background. I've learned a lot of lessons with it. Here's the last tip for ADHD. And why I like it is because like MMA, to me, I love disciplined sports and things that push you is there's two things. The stuff you can control in your head is all within your control. The stuff that happens outside, how people react to you, people hang up to you, people are nasty to you, you just got to let it go. Because when the event's over, it's over. It's like when you lose a fight. Have you ever gotten so inside your head and questioned everything you do and like what am I going to do? Sometimes you just got to let it go. You weren't your best or you got schooled and you got a lesson from it and you learn to be a better fighter. The same thing happens in wholesaling. I get the crap kicked out of me still to this day. And I have to learn to let it go. When I first started wholesaling, I struggled with that. So ADHD is all about controlling. Only deal the stuff within your head because it's the only stuff you can control and you have a positive effect on the outcome. Everybody on the outside, you do have to manage your schedule. I'm not telling you to ignore your daughter or anything like that, but you have to understand what you can control because ADHD is a symptom where you try to control everything and you push it all the way to the end of the universe. And the world doesn't work that way. If it does, I would be a master at it. It doesn't work. I got 53 years experience. Control what you can here. And then just go, when something happens, it doesn't work out. You get rejected by a seller. Say you lose a match, go, hey, I got a lesson from it, and this is how I'm going to be better going forward with it. And that's how I deal with ADHD, because ADHD is about you're just constantly being taxed, and everything comes in front of you, you want to give it your full attention. You can't. But the superpowers of ADHD is when you do an issue, say it's fighting or wholesaling, like when you're in that zone, you go all in and you don't let anything distract you. And the problem is when the worlds collide, you try to do everything. That's when you get in trouble. So it's a constant progression and you work on it. And just like when you're with your daughter and your kids, like I tell you as a parent, just learn to be present, because the kids are present. They don't know what's going on in the past, in the future. They just want to be with you. So my biggest advice to ADHD is just be in the moment and just deal with and stop worrying about stuff coming tomorrow or the stuff that's behind you. And that's the easiest way to manage it. Yeah. I know you got a lot on your plate, and I give you a lot of credit what you're doing. If fighting makes you happy and wholesaling is going to change your life, you know your daughter's a constant. That's not going to change. You just got to figure a way to balance the two out. Period.
I really do my stress on fighting when I know I don't get a deal. I'm like, I still don't have a deal. I have to leave all this stress, all this anger inside of the gym and stuff like that. So it's a good way for relief and everything too.
Yeah. I whatever I do, like I used to work 16 hours a day. I would still find 45 minutes to work out because it just mentally helps me out. One thing I can tell you is a great one is I like blocking out time. This is something he doesn't talk about, but he blocks out his time. He'll work for an hour or two straight, stop, do something, and then come back to it. Human beings aren't meant to be machines that work 8 hours straight. Yeah. I get you're working 8 hours, but you're usually not doing something straight for 8 hours. I personally found this. I like blocking out. Some people do this. They like 30 minutes, 5-minute break, then 30 minutes. I don't like that. I like to work 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours is my comfort.
And then I spend like 15, 20 minutes doing something that completely not that. So one thing I have found, because I'm a younger guy, I'll play like Madden or Call of Duty for like 15, 20 minutes, like one match or whatever, and then get back into whatever I'm doing. Yeah. I feel like I'm mentally reset. That 20 minutes for me is like I slept on it. I took a break for a couple of days off the weekend, and then it's like how good are you at work after a 7-day vacation? You're like fresh and revamped. It takes me about 15, 20 minutes. And maybe it's you spending time with your kids. Maybe it's doing something like that, playing with your kids, and then coming back to it. But don't act like you need to be this machine, right? Yeah. It's like take a little break.
I think martial arts stuff. I think it's kind of your meditation. So yeah, I do like weight. Like I feel vulnerable if I don't work out, because it gives me an outlet to relieve something. So guys, if you find something that you do that is positive in your life and helps you and your family out, I don't care if it's meditating, I don't care if it's gardening, I don't care if it's working out or doing like he does, punch people in the face and they punch you back, like relief. He taught me how to run like during our lockdown event, and I got addicted to running, and it's painful, it's stressful, and I have all sorts of hip issues, but like I'm doing special things because it's like a meditation for me. I hate it, but I love it, and I don't understand it, but like that's. So humans, we like to be challenged, but we want certainty. We're really screwed up if you think about it. So find whatever outlet that but make sure it's positive. Make it sort of something that doesn't take away from you or your family. There's a lot of bad things out there people do. And so if it's just don't get your face crushed in, that's all I tell you.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah. In the perfect world, we would like grapple and roll around, but I probably couldn't handle it at my age. So.
Oh, I hurt my rib grappling last night, so
I miss it. But it's hard to do at like my age because we don't have it. But I got to tell you, man, I missed it from high school wrestling days, and that's when I was a teenager. And it's just like, man, when you stop doing it, it's weird. But I love it. I have a huge passion for the sport, so that's why. And by the way, guys, I didn't pick them because of that. I picked people randomly. So
here's the first person on.
Yeah. So just keep doing what you're doing. Just find that balance and go to blocks. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I'm definitely going to start doing that.
Boom. That's it, guys. I'm telling you, if you go actually out here and you talk to motivated sellers and you do the work every single day you need to do, it will lead to your wholesaling real estate success. So, guys, I really appreciate you guys hopping on. Remember, if you go to freewholesaling.com, we'll go out here. We'll teach you how to wholesale real estate for free, and we'll help you out. So, guys, I really appreciate it. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments. Let me know in Wholesaling Houses for Real. You can post your question, have our whole community go talk to you guys on it. That's it. So, guys, this is Zach Ginn signing out.
Rick Ginn signing out.
See you guys soon.
Later.
Have a blessed one.